If you like what we do here on Skiba News Nation, please like and subscribe, and also share with others so we can grow the biggest truth-seeking community on the internet. Huge shout out to all of our Patreons out there. If you like bonus content, you want some extra Skiba News Nation stuff, please go to patreon.com/Skiba News Nation.
Welcome to Skiba News Nation, bringing you unfiltered views, news, interviews, discussions, and more. And now, here's your host, Jeremiah Skiba, award-winning musician and son of Rob Skiba.
With the son of the legendary Rob Skiba, Jeremiah Skiba, what's up?
With my great and insightful co-host, Mr. Jake Graham.
Dude, someone should do conspiracy news. It would be 10 times better than what you see on television.
It's like I don't even want to wake up.
He's on a quest for truth.
The reason why we're doing our conference, TrutherCon in Dallas, is because that was the first time the word conspiracy theorist was used to demonize people that thought outside the box, really questioned the narrative, and that Warren Commission report was the first time that they used it against us.
TrutherCon is a mixed bag of presenters from a variety of YouTube channels. And so what we're doing is we're having people come and present their best case for whatever it is they believe is the most important thing to share. And then we're opening it up for open questioning from the audience to question anything that's presented. It's a conference to have all of these different individuals who are well researched in their particular area that they present as an important truth to be able to be questioned. And then we're going to have a panel at the end of be able to cross-examine different speakers.
Hey Skiba News Nation family, welcome to episode 138 of Skiba News Nation, your weekly source of the latest news, controversial topics, conspiracies, forgotten history, and so much more. I'm your host Jeremiah Skiba, and we have 8 days left until TrutherCon 2025, so get your tickets while you still can. And now, as always, my co-host Jake Grant. I hope you got some good current news for me today, so take it away.
Hey, what's up, Jeremiah? Yeah, I am so excited. TrutherCon is coming up. It's literally like a week away at the airing of this episode, and I'm just so excited. We have the new updated schedule put out, and I have this fun little clip here showing what's coming up at TrutherCon 2025. Check it out. Boop.
10 a.m. Doors open to a whole other dimension of truth.
All right, man. So there's another thing that I really wanted to talk about because it's directly related to TrutherCon and somebody who we have performing, Bryson Gray. And I don't know if you guys have seen it, but Bryson needs our help. So Bryson said, someone at TPUSA just posted them. Do me a favor and email them Bryson Gray. Let's see if they're scared to have Bible rap out there. So they're looking for somebody to perform at the TPUSA halftime show, and they want requests. So email freedom@charliekirk.com and say Bryson Gray. Of course, we want to support the artists that we have performing at TrutherCon. We'll see if we can help Bryson out, get him on the alternative halftime show. Anyways, I think it would be great if we got more of Bryson's music out there in the mainstream. You know, he's an independent artist, and so let's tell him, like, if they really want to be about the Bible and about truth, then have Bryson, because there's a lot of artists out there that don't represent necessarily what they claim to represent, right? All right, so let's get into the news today. So we just fulfilled the fall feasts. We just had an amazing time out here at Ancient Path Revivals. One of the best Sukkots we've had in a few years. Just so beautiful. So much information coming together. Really nuanced, deep biblical studies that I'm having trouble containing myself with the interesting things we talked about. But there's some other things that happened during this week of Sukkot, and I found them very interesting. For one, there was a major advancement in Grok and its imaging capability. So literally for the past week, people have been using the free service of Grok to, turn still images into AI videos, and just the technology it's mind-blowing.
Your own understanding, live and die for the truth. Don't be built on the sand. By lies left and right, proud people still standing. Time after time, take repentance for granted. Wicked the pattern, it's the trouble you're damned in. It's the trouble you're damned in. Trouble you're standing.
As a creative, it's very tempting. It's literally like the most amazing carrot. Just think of the creative potential for somebody who wants to do storytelling, and just the level at which AI videos is advancing is fascinating. But so, of course, in talking current events, there was something interesting that's being correlated with Charlie Kirk in the mainstream, and it coincides with Shemini Atzeret, the last great day of Sukkot, and it's this. Another great prophecy fulfilled before our eyes, the return of Elijah to fulfill Malachi. Charlie Kirk is being honored with the Presidential Medal of Freedom today on this high Sabbath of Shemini Atzeret. President Trump will give this honor today posthumously to Kirk. I believe that the life and death of Charlie Kirk is the fulfillment of Malachi 4. Behold, I will send Elijah the prophet before the great and dreadful day of the Lord, and he shall turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, and the hearts of the children to the fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. Very interesting correlations there with Charlie Kirk and the biblical figure of Elijah, but we did see that his birthday was announced Charlie Kirk Remembrance Day. Here's a comment from Caroline Wilder. Transgenderism is the decision to, in pride, turn your back on God. Decide that you will make yourself in your own image, live a life of self-worship, and adopt a new name in the process. You know who else did this? Satan. So we're seeing Christian revival sweeping across the U.S. According to some statistics, annual Bible sales have jumped 41%. Religious and spiritual app downloads up 79%, and contemporary Christian music up 50%. Spotify streams since 2019, which, by the way, is the reason we should support Bryson Gray, because I believe there is a stark difference between cotton candy Christian music and the type of truth dropping that figures like Bryson Gray and my own band, Simply Prodigal, hope to bring to our musical endeavors. And so it's really interesting to see the stirring in the hearts of American citizens because of the Charlie Kirk shooting that coincide with the very beliefs he was debating so furiously on college campuses. So what we see here is also this. So is it a surprise? Transgender trend sharply declining on American college campuses? New analysis finds. So it's a survey of 68,000 college students finds that only 3.6% identify as gender other than male or female now, marking a sharp decline in transgender identification among Gen Z over the past 3 years. So what do you think? Leave it in our comments. Do you believe Charlie Kirk is equatable to the prophet Elijah talked about in the book of Malachi? Do you believe he is being propped up as a fulfillment of biblical prophecy? Because we know that those who operate in this world are trying to fulfill and mimic biblical prophetic mandates. And so is this their perfect opportunity for the sacrificial lamb be used to justify other future prophetic messianic events like the second coming, right? So we have to be careful, right? Because if this is lining up with biblical prophecy, is it true prophecy? Or is it the prophecy that is unfolded through the predictive programming of Hollywood and people that use every single event, good or bad, and don't let it fall by the wayside? And so this doesn't necessarily tap into whether the Charlie Kirk assassination was an inside job, similar-esque to JFK, but rather what are the practical implications as people witness that event and are moved in their heart to go back to church, to look into God and faith and religion, and listen to some of those debates Charlie Kirk had, to step away from the woke ideology that was so force-fed on college campuses. And now there seems to be a whole different blend and generation of young people coming up with these shared values that are then being funneled into organizations that, for example, are very closely associated with the ecumenical movement and the call to bring God back into the state, and the Catholic Church. So, just pointing some of those things out, guys. Hey, on a side note, because I'm a heavens watcher, there are some interesting things coming up in the next 7 days. And so check this out. We're going to have 2 comets and a meteor shower that will be visible over the next 7 days. You have 2025 R2 Swan, the Oranids meteor shower, and a visible with the naked eye comet A6 Limon, 2025 A6 Limon. So some things that I believe are pretty interesting. Apparently, Limon is naked eye visible, and you should look on the western horizon about 30 to 60 minutes after sunset for best viewing. View it now through October 24th. And the Oranids, of course, are going to be hitting around October 20th. But I like to give people a little bit of a heads up so you can catch some of these celestial events. The heavens were made for signs, seasons, and appointed moedim, according to Genesis. And so I find it valuable, and if not, just to bring your children out there and have them look up at the wonderful creation that declares the handiwork of the Creator. So anyways, I've been excited about that. In other news, there's some really alarming coincidences lining up with the ground activity in California that they think is hinting at the big one coming soon. So let's check out this clip.
A little bit scary. Scientists say there's now evidence 2 of the best-known earthquake fault lines on the West Coast are in sync, and that has the potential for a major disaster.
Scientists are now sounding the alarm over a rare kind of earthquake that could shake California harder than anything we've seen before. They're called super shear quakes, and researchers say the San Andreas Fault could be the perfect setup.
But what if the big one was more than one? A new study suggests the 2 biggest West Coast fault lines, the San Andreas and Cascadia, may be seismically linked, and theoretically a quake on one could trigger a quake on the other.
2 of the West Coast's biggest faults could trigger each other, leading to a disastrous megaquake. Oh dear.
Scientists say this new information should again encourage the public and public agencies to prepare for the big one. Or maybe 2. It may sound new to most of us, but scientists have been looking into a seismic link between the San Andreas Fault in Northern California and the Cascadia subduction zone in the Northwest since 1999. Now a new study, headed by scientists at Oregon State University studying layers of sediment, seems to show that earthquakes on one, like the Loma Prieta quake in 1989, could possibly impact the other. The study's lead author, marine geologist Chris Goldfinger, tells us it's important to note that a quake on either one wouldn't necessarily trigger the other or make the damage worse.
If you had a 1906 style earthquake in San Francisco, it would be similar to the 1906 earthquake, and you would never know about Cascadia going off just by your personal experience.
A new study by experts at Oregon State University focuses on the San Andreas Fault here in Northern California and the Cascadia subduction zone off the coast of Oregon and Washington. So scientists looked at sediment pulled from the ocean and found earthquakes on one fault have the potential to set off the other within hours. Just one large earthquake could be devastating, but 2 in a row could mean massive emergencies across the entire West Coast.
All right, so very interesting. They're expecting a big one. And we've already talked about the New Madrid fault and the focus that there is an expected earthquake that is due, a big one. Now, this next clip I wanted to show was a really interesting interaction with President Trump on Air Force One. And it just, with all of the impact he's having on the world recently, the peace in the Middle East deal. So here's an interesting clip on Air Force One that caught my attention. So check this out.
A couple weeks ago, you were doing an interview and you talked about how you hope to end the war in Ukraine because it might help you get into heaven. How does this help? Does this help?
I mean, I'm being a little cute. I don't think there's anything going to get me in heaven. Okay, I really don't. I think I'm not maybe heaven bound. I may be in heaven right now as we fly in Air Force One. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make heaven, but I've made life a lot better for a lot of people. And as an example, had the election of 2020 not been rigged, you would have millions of people living just in Russia, Ukraine alone. That would have never happened. And it didn't happen for 4 years. And I knew Putin very well. It was the apple of his eye. All the things I've said would have never happened. We had an incompetent administration. We had an incompetent president. And because of a crooked election, millions of people are dead. And by the way, the Israeli thing was much harder to get settled because of the past administration. Okay?
Both of your elections, the biggest issues were the economy and immigration. Now you're getting credit from Democrats and Republicans for this Middle East peace deal. Where does it fit? Where do you think it fits into your legacy?
Well, look, this will be my 8th war that I've solved. And I hear there's a war now going between Pakistan and Afghanistan. I said, I'll have to wait till I get back. I'm doing another one because I'm good at solving wars. I'm good at making peace. And it's an honor to do it. I saved millions of lives. Millions of lives. Now, in all fairness to the Nobel Committee, it was for 2024. And this was picked for 2024. But there are those that say you could make an exception because a lot of things happened during 25 that are done and complete and great. But I did this not for Nobel. I did this for saving lives. I mean, we've saved millions of lives. Think about India, Pakistan. Think about some of the wars that were going on for years. We had one going for 31, one going for 32, one going for 37 years, with millions of people being killed in every country. And I got every one of those done, for the most part, within a day. It's pretty good.
Normandy, I'm going to ask again. What do you pray for? I know you don't like to really talk about this, but I think most people across the country see you as an important figure, a critical figure at a desperate time for the country. They think that, and they want to know that you believe there's something more than just this.
Well, I do. I think one of the reasons that our country has lost sort of everything, it's lost so much, is we don't have religion to the same extent. I mean, you look at those charts, they're so sad. I mean, it's just going bad. And the Democrats were violent and ruthless to religion during COVID. What they did during COVID, people weren't even allowed to meet outside, and they were 10 feet apart in some big field. They'd arrest everybody. They were fascists. They were horrible. That was a very bad time for organized religion. But religion, it gives you some hope. Gee, if I'm good, I'm going to heaven.
Do you believe in heaven?
I do. If I'm good, I'm going to heaven. And if I'm bad, I'm going to someplace else, like over there, right? But it gives you, there's something that is so good for a country. We lost a lot.
When you pray, what do you pray for?
Well, I pray for our country. I pray for the same thing you pray. Our family and our country. We have a family, we have a country. And I guess we have a world. I pray for the world too. I stopped what could have been world wars. We are very close right now to a world war. When you look at what's going on with Russia,
The battle of good versus evil, it's real. And we saw evil descend upon Annunciation Church this morning, taking 2 precious innocent lives with it. Now, over the past 2 decades or so, the killers who've brought terror and devastation to our churches and our schools have one thing in common. Their faith was non-existent. Their focus was not on God, it was on revenge, or it was on social media fame, a combination. A desperate need, above all, for recognition and notoriety through the infliction of maximum pain. Now, if it wasn't death by guns, it would be by a knife or with an explosive device and a pressure cooker, maybe a backpack. But like most cities run by Democrats, Minneapolis, of course, is a mess. The politicians are clueless. Their priorities are all screwed up, even today.
Can you give people a sense of how you see it in terms of how anti-Christian bias has surfaced in recent years, and some would say in particular in terms of the use of the government under the Biden administration?
Well, it depends a lot on who the leadership is, of course. President Trump is very different and has deep feelings of Christian beliefs and believes that he was saved by God for a purpose. The Biden administration had a very different belief system, and is manifested by, for instance, a situation where some Christian women were demonstrating peacefully in front of an abortion clinic and ended up in jail. Now that would only happen, obviously, if you really were quite hostile toward them.
All right, so I think it's fascinating, the connection between Donald Trump's vocal desire to bring the state and religion back together, and this coincides with the advancement in AI technology, where literal gods are being created in the image of the corporations that train those LLMs. And so, depending on whether you're a Google, Bixby guy, or a Cortana, or Grok, or ChatGPT, it's very fascinating because you have this resurgent and desire for people to find and seek after God, and then you have these godlike AI entities that can just dispense information and tell you what to think, feel, and do, and it's all paralleling. And so that's why I wanted to show this next clip, which to me is very interesting. It's a statement from Elon Musk. We are in the beginning of an immense intelligence big bang right now, and we're at the most interesting time to be alive in history. Check this out.
I think about like where we are today. We're at the beginning of an immense intelligence explosion. We're in the intelligence big bang right now, and we're at the most interesting time to be alive of any time in history. Yeah. Now, that said, we need to make sure that the AI is a good AI. And we're at the most interesting time to be alive of any time in history. Yeah. Now, that said, we need to make sure that the AI is a good AI.
Okay, so here we have Elon Musk talking about how this is the most interesting time to be alive. And because of AI, we're at the intelligence big bang. So they're also portraying AI in media and in culture as gods. And so it's so fascinating to see this resurgence in the give me that old time religion, give me that old time religion. They're all going back, TP USA, let's get back to church. And at the same time, we have the rise of the AI gods. And check this out. There was a recent festival in Egypt. My goodness, what an interesting scene. Where a 200-foot tall robot in front of the pyramids, people are dancing, singing. You could equate this to worship in some ways. But we definitely see what pop culture is hinting at is the coming worship of AI gods. So, of course, some of that imagery and in front of the Great Pyramids of this AI god basically breaking through the veil. It's really, really interesting. Now, they've been doing stuff like this at Tomorrowland for years and years, but doesn't it give a visual to the very things Elon Musk was saying, that we're at the great bang of the information explosion? So on this topic of Elon Musk, here's this video that just came out of Elon Musk's ex and her, the mother of his child, saying maybe a slip of the tongue. I don't know. You tell me.
I think there's quite a bit of abdication of responsibility around like, what are we going to do as people's jobs start being taken fairly aggressively? Luckily, there's a massive population drop coming. So maybe everything is just fate and it's going to work out okay. But I feel like we might get like very, very, very good AI across every pillar of art before there aren't any more people to make art. Yeah. Overall, I think there's quite a bit of...
Was that an oops or what? I mean, you do see that predicted in the Georgia Guidestones and the population of the Earth being maintained at 500 million. So, I mean, it's all coinciding with AI, it seems like. Interesting. Hey, in other news, we have an interesting story. A munitions plant explodes, leaving no survivors. And very interesting. Check this out.
Residents of Western Tennessee are mourning the loss of 16 people who were killed Friday in a blast at a military explosives plant. Crews are still sifting through that rubble, and authorities are working to determine what caused the deadly explosion, which was felt as far away as 20 miles. For more on this, let's bring in CBS News correspondent Nicole Valdez. And Nicole, what more can you tell us that we're learning about these victims as well as the employees who were at the plant when this explosion happened?
Yeah, good evening. Today, another emotional day as the sheriffs for both Humphreys and Hickman counties, that is where that plant is located in rural southwest Tennessee, announced the names of all 16 people initially believed to be dead in that blast inside the building at the time of the explosion. It was hard to watch. You heard the sheriff get emotional, really struggling to get those names out, at one point even saying that one of those victims was in fact one of his neighbors. So this is a small community. A lot of people know a lot of people, and this is still a tragedy that so many feel. That grief is still very fresh for so many. Earlier, we also heard from the ATF, the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Bureau. They are leading the investigation and trying to figure out what caused this blast. They say that investigation has been slow and methodical, but one of the biggest issues and obstacles they're facing is the lack of evidence left behind. As you see the images of the blast, that building is no longer there, and everything inside it is essentially in pieces. So they are working and sifting through whatever they're able to salvage to try to determine what may have triggered this explosion.
So the type of munitions that were made at this plant were likely the munitions that were being sent to Ukraine. And the fact that it was completely obliterated, obviously it's a munitions plant. When you're in one building with a lot of boom booms, one boom boom goes boom, then everything else goes boom. So just caught my eye. This is like a story that you don't hear about very often, where 16 people in an entire building are evaporated and people feel the explosion from 20 miles away. So I thought it was worth talking about. We've covered in previous episodes the crazy thought police state that Great Britain is becoming. And I wanted to show some videos of protesters being arrested for being assumed to be mentally supporting Palestine, or it's just really interesting, and it's literally 1984's thought police. So I'm glad we have the at least somewhat semblance of freedom of speech here in the United States.
On suspicion of displaying an article that raises suspicion that they are a supporter of a proscribed organisation, namely Palestine Action, under Section 13 of the Terrorism Act 2000. You do not have to say anything that may harm the defence, do not mention when questioning something which will later rely on in court. Anything you do say may be given in evidence. The rest is necessary criteria is to ascertain your name and address and to allow the prompt and effective of investigation. Understand?
You're now under arrest. Stand up. You will go to custody. You're going to stand up and you're going to custody. If you don't stand up, force will be used and you will be carried. If you do not stand up, force will be used. There is a risk this may result in the injury to your health. Is there anything I can reasonably do or say to make you stand? Ready? Go ahead, girl. Go ahead, girl. Go ahead.
We're literally seeing 1984 state come into being in Great Britain. People being arrested for memes, for even thinking thoughts that they're not supposed to think. So while the freedom of speech and protest is really being thumbed over in Great Britain, so we're using our freedom of speech and protest in the U.S. in other concerning ways. Check this out. In Portland, leftists are blocking roads while holding a nude die-in to protest ICE. And of course, Portland is allowing full public nudity. Remember, this is what you're voting for when you vote Democrat. So, man, when seeing scenes like this, I can't help but to think of literally Sodom and Gomorrah, right? I look at this scene from the perspective sometimes of how the rest of the world looks at America. And hey, let's fight kicking out illegal immigrants by laying down buck naked on a highway and listening to some cool, chill music. It's just so crazy to think we're at this stage. And so what it is we see this really strange polarity forming in politics where you have the right adhering to a faith-motivated religious perspective and bringing God back into the state, reminding me of the Roman Empire, right? And then polarization on the left. So to me, very interesting to see. And so I find it interesting in the midst of all this protesting against ICE and such that we have history like this, right? Where 8,000 Michigan National Guardsmen were deployed by Lyndon Johnson with orders to shoot anyone seen looting, and at least 11 people were killed. But you know what? I guess it's okay for a Democrat president, but not for President Trump. All right, guys, so that's all the news for this week. We've had a very busy week. We also have a very interesting interview with Greg Carlwood from the THC podcast. Definitely, you want to check that one out. It was a really interesting conversation talking with a guy that talks to other guys. You know, the concept being when you're an interview host that interviews people with wide range of theories and conspiracies and such, you can sometimes make these top-down connections that others wouldn't because they're in their niche. So it was a really fascinating conversation. I hope you guys will check that one out as well. It was a very interesting talk. But with that said, Jeremiah, back to you.
Thanks, Jake, for another great current news as always. And don't go anywhere, guys. We still have a great Opus Corner and a great History's Mysteries for you. So now a quick look at my new book, Charlie's Big Adventures Around the World or Not. So check it out.
Open in the mail today. When I open it up, see what it is. Look at that. Charlie, look at this. Look. It's you. Charlie's Big Adventures Around the World. We're gonna flip through it. Look at all that. Look at this.
There they are.
Two Danish boys.
So now if you guys buy this in our Babylon Rising bookstore, you get a free signed copy for the same price. So I just wanted to throw that out there. If you guys want a special edition of the book, go there.
Check out our new and improved BabylonRisingBooks.com, where you can get Rob Skiba's books, bundles, DVDs, DVD-ROMs, videos, and so much more. You can even get Sheila and Jeremiah's books, so check it out now.
Oh, would you look at that? It's time for an all-new Opa's Corner. Take it away, Opa.
Mein Hut, der hat 3 Ecken. 3 Ecken hat mein Hut. Und hat nicht 3 Ecken, dann ist es nicht mein Hut.
The strange, the bizarre, the unexpected. These are the kinds of subjects a man named Robert L. Ripley challenged us to believe it or not.
Believe it or not, you.
Wally, believe it or not.
Believe it or not.
Believe it!
You're a loony.
In Tucson, Arizona, the new year is marked by dropping a giant Taco Bell taco instead of a ball. Believe it or not. Sports card company Topps released a collectible card of a squirrel that stole the spotlight at Yankee Stadium after running onto the field. Believe it or not. One bee will create about 1/12 of a teaspoon of honey. A 12-ounce jar of honey equates to the life's work of 864 bees. Believe it or not. Some parts of an elephant's skin can be up to 1 inch thick, providing an injury-resistant barrier. Believe it or not. Elephants are terrified of bees. Believe it or not. For a period in the late 1800s, it was believed that milk was an adequate replacement for human blood in the body. Believe it or not. Through the 15th and 18th centuries, Germany had hundreds of werewolf trials. Believe it or not. In 2024, Japan developed the world's first wooden satellite. Believe it or not. To promote the movie Contagion, Warner Brothers Canada created giant petri dishes in a Toronto storefront where growing bacteria and fungi formed the film's title. Believe it or not. In 2001, Brazil issued coffee-scented stamps. Believe it or not. The last known photo of rock and roll legend Buddy Holly shows a young Waylon Jennings playing bass in his band. Jennings was supposed to be on the tragic plane crash, but gave up his seat to the Big Bopper, which changed music history. Believe it or not. After feeling neglected by her 3 children, a Chinese woman left her entire $2.8 million fortune to her cat and dog.
Good.
Believe it or not. Ice used to be harvested and exported in the 1800s. Believe it or not. Gorillas hum while eating, and even sing, more often when eating their favorite foods. Believe it or not. Okay, folks, it's sea level, not sea curved. Flat Earth. Believe it or not.
Imagine this. Nearly 4,700 years ago, ancient engineers might have used water power to build Egypt's first pyramid. The Step Pyramid of Djoser, designed by the genius architect Imhotep, could have been constructed using a revolutionary hydraulic lift system. This theory suggests that controlled water flows lifted massive stone blocks through a central shaft inside the pyramid. Here's how it worked. Water from a nearby basin filled a shaft, raising a platform carrying heavy stones. As the water drained, the platform, loaded with stones, was lifted to higher levels. This ingenious method could explain how the ancient Egyptians managed to build such a colossal structure with the limited technology of the time. This theory is still controversial. Skeptics argue that the sporadic rains of the era wouldn't have provided enough water to sustain such a system. Despite the debate, the idea of ancient Egyptians mastering hydraulics to construct their iconic monuments is nothing short of mind-blowing. Could this be the secret behind one of history's greatest architectural feats?
Okay guys, we have got this crazy piece of footage to take a look at that was captured from this pilot's plane. So guys, let's have a look at the footage and then we'll have a real quick chat afterwards. So guys, you may have noticed that the map was missing from the beginning of this video, and that is because I haven't got the exact location. The only thing I really know is that this was captured on the 4th of April 2023, and in this footage we can see this object come in and it seems to bank as if it's avoiding the plane. Now guys, I think this is an incredible close-up footage of what we are looking for, a UFO. But guys, what do you think about the footage?
And finally, if they give you treats and you want more, look cute and keep meowing. It's a proven method and they will cave. Thank you.
True that.
I don't care what the other kids are doing. You're not getting your lip pierced. More worms? Say, why are you being so nice to me all of a sudden? Today's class, we're going to learn about fractions. Ow. His arrest sheet only says assault and, sorry, Your Honor, batteries not included. Hey, honey, this one sounds perfect. 3 bedrooms, large den, no bathrooms on a large wooded lot. his first steps. Don't anybody move. Nobody knows why hot air Conestoga wagons never caught on. Well, you look at that. Them dang Crenshaws are gonna make it to California before all of us. There he is, my butter from another udder. The difference between cultured and uncultured pearls. The museums, the opera, the symphony. Can't I even just stay home and watch the game? The music's starting, Tonto. Come on, let's ride. Relax, will ya? The William Tell Overture is my new ringtone. Eventually, Billy came to dread his father's lecture over all other forms of punishment. Careful, Sid. They may be comfortable, but you'll look ridiculous. Check it out! I pull back the sand, and there's some nice hardwood underneath. Lemons. Chuck, that's not how you make sour cream. The element of surprise. Right there. Do you see it? Oh my God, I can't believe it. Fall always takes squirrels by surprise. Well, I guess this means I can't run around in my underwear anymore. See him around? I think we're safe to drink. Boy, I'd like to find this dog's food bowl. Hot dogs, open 11 a.m. Keep your shirt on, pal. Can't you read? It's only 10:55. See? Just when I finally start to feel comfortable in my own skin, this happens. Getting your seeds scooped out. I want to clean out my storage, but what can I get rid of?
True.
Might want to get dressed. Landlord's here. She said I'm not on the lease or something. I bid her. Shock collar. Eliminates unwanted behavior like digging and barking. I don't know. I guess it's worth a shot. I know, right? The only thing weirder than being swallowed by a whale is being swallowed by a whale with Wi-Fi. That pillowcase is too skimpy. If you want to roam the earth, go and put on a proper sheet. Wanna go for a walk? Oh, do you know where Bugsy's new favorite spot is? I have a guess. The latest ghost hunter's detection device. Hey! I drank this stuff called Extreme Energy, and I stayed awake for 2 hours. 2 hours, Clarence! Ah, that is extreme. What a waste of time. Marry a girl with a dachshund. At least you'll know she doesn't mind snoring, farting, and paying for expensive food. Just to clear this up, cow, high capacity assault cow. Meanwhile, at the equator on the globe, and that concludes another Opa's Corner. Opa's Corner is now available on my own YouTube channel. Like, share, and subscribe.
Thank you, Opa, for another great Opa's Corner. Now a quick word from our good friend, Kristen.
Are you a content creator, podcaster, or show host trying to do it all on your own? Booking guests, moderating chats, creating timestamps, and scheduling interviews? It's exhausting. That's where Kristen and Fellow Helper Agency comes in. Kristen is the ultimate behind-the-scenes pro. She makes sure your show runs smooth from start to finish. Whether it's securing an amazing guest, keeping your community engaged, or handling the scheduling chaos, you can count on her. Imagine focusing on creating great content while Kristen takes care of all the rest. Professional, reliable, and trusted. If you're serious about growing your show and building your audience, you need Kristen on your team. Visit fellowhelperagency.com today because the right help changes everything.
So, it's time for an all-new History's Mysteries. Now, I remember watching late night shows with Opa. I'm sure Opa remembers that. They were funny. They used to be so funny, and they used to actually make jokes, and now it all sucks. So that's kind of what we're going to be talking about for History's Mysteries. So this week we're going to be exploring about the single man, one man, destroyed late night television and the psyche of all of them. So check this out.
I mean, that son of a bitch, you know, is really unbelievable. Remember that guy who used to host The Apprentice? I dreamed we elected him president. Yeah, no, I never imagined that we'd ever have a president like this, and I hope we don't ever have another president like this again.
Trump, just last week, he confirmed to the National Review that he is again considering a run in 2016.
Do it. Do it. Look at me. Do it. I will personally write you a campaign check now on behalf of this country, which does not want you to be president, but which badly wants you to run.
Friday, Donald Trump posted, "I absolutely love that Colbert got fired. His talent was even less than his ratings." Would an untalented man be able to compose the following satirical witticism? Go f yourself.
If this morning you finally woke up from a coma,
well, you might want to go back.
Colbert has no talent. I mean, I could take anybody here. I could go outside on the beautiful streets and pick a couple of people that do just as well or better. They get higher ratings than he did. He's got no talent. Fallon has no talent. Kimmel has no talent. They're next. They're going to be going. I hear they're going to be going.
In 2014, when you'd come home from work, flip on the TV around 11:30 p.m., you'd probably see Jimmy Fallon playing some ridiculous game where celebrities have to guess songs while wearing giant headphones or something. David Letterman would be throwing stuff off the roof of his building. Conan O'Brien would be doing that weird string dance that makes absolutely no sense, but somehow works. This was late night television at its purest, harmless, goofy, politically neutered entertainment. I mean, sure, they'd take gentle shots at politicians, Obama's ears.
She talks about my ears a lot. That's an old standard, how big they are.
Bush's malapropisms.
George Bush is now so unpopular, he must defend his job against Russell Crowe.
Clinton's appetites.
All right, yeah, everybody, little kitty, all right, yeah. How's everybody?
But it was all fair game, all in good fun. The jokes landed because they weren't trying to destroy anyone. They were just trying to make you laugh before you went to sleep. Jay Leno, the king of this era, had a simple philosophy.
To me, I always like to humiliate and degrade both sides equally.
Yeah. Johnny Carson before him operated on the same principle. Make fun of everyone equally. Keep it light, keep it broad, give America something to laugh about together, regardless of whether they voted red or blue. But something happened in the summer of 2015 that would shatter this delicate ecosystem forever. A reality TV star with a bad comb-over rode down a golden escalator and announced he was running for president.
I am officially running for President of the United States.
And in that moment, though none of us knew it yet, late-night television began eating itself alive. Donald Trump became an obsession when he became a presidential candidate, a fixation, a white whale that would drive an entire industry of professional comedians completely, utterly, magnificently insane. Trump changed late-night TV. But it's actually more than that. It's the story of how America's court jesters convinced themselves they were freedom fighters, how the people whose job was to help you laugh at the absurdity of politics decided instead to pick a side and wage war, how the industry built on bringing people together became a weapon for tearing them apart. And in trying to destroy Trump, these hosts ended up proving every single point he'd ever made about the media and Hollywood. They became the thing he said they were. And for some reason, they turned themselves into his greatest campaign advertisements.
Which is awesome. I mean, I just remember watching Letterman with Oprah, and it was just so much fun to watch. Like, he was actually funny. He would make fun of stuff that was actually currently happening. They weren't all trying to bash one person. Doesn't matter if it's Trump or whoever it is. You don't just bash one person. That shouldn't be your, that's not comedy. It's not funny. It's just, I don't know. That's just my opinion, and I feel like the ratings pretty much showed that. But now we're going to be talking about the betrayal, so let's check out this clip.
You probably won't believe this, but there actually was a time when Donald Trump was just a punchline, the flashy businessman with questionable taste who showed up on late night shows to promote whatever vanity project he was working on that week.
Are you going to go see Star Wars?
I might. Yeah.
You might. Did you watch any of the other Star Wars movies?
I watched maybe one or two. I'm so busy. I don't have a lot of time for this, to be honest.
Gotcha.
But great stuff.
Great stuff. Okay.
George Lucas. The whole thing. The job he's done is.
In December 2015, candidate Trump appeared on Jimmy Kimmel Live. Hard to believe now, but it actually happened, and it was standard fare. Softball questions, a few gentle ribs about his hair, maybe a bit about his Twitter habits, and of course, Kimmel got his ratings bump. Everyone went home happy. This was the old system working exactly as designed. Celebrities use late night to humanize themselves, hosts get content, audiences get entertained. But even then, you could sense something a little different in the air. The comedy writers had found something kinda irresistible about Trump. Not just his personality or his orange glow. I'm talking about his pure, undiluted absurdity. He really did look like a man who seemed engineered in a lab to be the perfect comedic target.
No, get those lights off! Off! Turn them off. They're too bright. Turn them off. Turn them off. Let's go. Ready? Turn off the lights.
And the problem for these people was that Trump understood this game better than anyone realized. He'd been playing it for decades. He knew that in America, being famous is more valuable than being respected, and being talked about is more valuable than being liked. Every joke about his hair was free publicity. Every impression was free branding. The comedians thought they were mocking him, but Trump was using them. The one thing you need to know about the entertainment industry is that absolutely nothing drives ratings like hatred. Absolutely nothing generates more clicks, more shares, more passionate engagement than giving people permission to feel righteously angry about someone they already hate. And Trump was comedy on crack. Pure, uncut, addictive content that made audiences feel smart and superior and morally justified all at the same time. Jokes about Trump always got applause, the comedic equivalent of a drug that made everyone feel good about themselves while destroying their capacity for literally any nuance. But the moment the old system died came in September 2016, when Jimmy Fallon made a fatal mistake. He treated Trump like a normal human being.
Do you want to tell me a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm an extraordinarily handsome person. I have a beautiful head of hair.
I noticed that, yeah.
Trump appeared on The Tonight Show during the general election campaign. You have to understand that Fallon was actually the least political among all the late night show hosts. Weird, I know. But he gave Trump the kind of goofy interview that had made him famous. You know, they talked about Trump's sleep habits, his Twitter obsessions, his diet. And then, in what seemed like harmless physical comedy, Fallon asked if he could mess up Trump's hair.
Can I mess your hair up?
Trump agreed. Fallon reached over and playfully tousled that famous comb over while the audience laughed. It should have been nothing. A silly moment in a silly interview on a show built entirely around silly moments, but the reaction was swift and it was merciless. Variety declared that Fallon had lost, quote, the last shred of his credibility. People accused him of, quote, normalizing a proto-fascist candidate. His own industry turned on him like a pack of wolves. They sent the message that there would be no neutrality in the Trump era. You were either part of the resistance or you were part of the problem. Obviously, Fallon tried to defend himself. He claimed he was just doing comedy, but it was too late. The mob had spoken. His ratings actually began to tank while Stephen Colbert, who had transformed his show into a nightly Trump hate fest, shot to #1. By 2018, he was expressing regret, saying he'd do it differently because of the backlash, an emotional toll it had on him. And a very important lesson was learned across the industry. Hate sells and neutrality dies. If you wanted to survive in late night, you better pick the right side, or in this case, the left side, and you better pick it loudly.
Now, Trump is a naturally funny guy. I mean, we can all agree to that. I mean, I would like to think that if he wasn't the president, that he would have been a great stand-up comedian. And, you know, it's the attacks that make it all, you know, terrible and not funny. So when Trump won in 2016, it just became a liberal echo chamber, and it still is a liberal echo chamber to this day. Therefore, I will not watch it, and neither will anybody else. And even liberals won't watch it now because they're just bored of hearing the same old, same old, same old. So now we're going to be talking about the Resistance Broadcast Network. So check this out.
Sometimes when you're president, you have to make sacrifices, so I skipped the back nine.
By early 2017, something unprecedented had happened in the history of American entertainment. Late-night comedy hosts had appointed themselves as leaders of the political opposition. This is important because these weren't comedians who occasionally commented on politics or entertainers who happened to have opinions. These were full-time, professional, nightly critics of the sitting president of the United States. Stephen Colbert led the charge, and his transformation was actually nothing short of remarkable. When he'd taken over The Late Show in 2015, he'd struggled in the ratings and actually trailed Jimmy Fallon by massive margins. Audiences seemed unsure what to make of Colbert without his Comedy Central character. Turns out he was funnier as a fake conservative than as a real liberal.
As we've heard this morning, America's farms are presently far too dependent on immigrant labor to pick our fruits and vegetables. Now, the obvious answer is for all of us to stop eating fruits and vegetables.
But Trump changed everything. Colbert retooled his entire show around a simple premise. Every night for roughly 12 minutes, he would systematically dismantle whatever Trump had done that day. But would he do it through balanced analysis or thoughtful critique? Of course not. He'd do it through pure, concentrated mockery solely designed to make Trump look as stupid and dangerous as possible. And unfortunately, it worked. By February 2017, Colbert had beaten Fallon in total viewers for the first time. By the end of the 2016 to 2017 television season, he was the undisputed king of late night. Some analysts attributed his success to, quote, greater interest in politicized comedy under the Trump administration. Translation: people wanted to be told that their hatred was justified, and Colbert was happy to oblige. And in May 2017, he crossed the line. See, earlier that day, Trump had appeared on CBS's Face the Nation and dismissed host John Dickerson as fake news in the middle of an interview.
You know, it's very funny when the fake media goes out, you know, which we call the mainstream media, which sometimes I must say is you. But when the
You
fake...
mean me personally, or...
your show. I love your show. I call it Deface the Nation.
Essentially calling Colbert's own colleague a liar on his own network. And so naturally, Colbert did what any mature professional would do. He completely lost his mind on live television. Defending Dickerson, Colbert unleashed a barrage of schoolyard insults that would have embarrassed a middle schooler.
John Dickerson is a fair-minded journalist and one of the most competent people who will ever walk into your office, and you treat him like that? I love your presidency. I call it disgrace the nation. You're the bloatus. You're the glutton with the button. You're a regular Gorge Washington. You're the presidents, but you're turning into a real pricktator.
Clever wordplay that surely took the writing staff hours to craft, but the pièce de résistance was his declaration that Trump's mouth was only good for one thing.
In fact, the only thing your mouth is good for is being Vladimir Putin's holster.
But CBS didn't fire him. They didn't even reprimand him. His ratings even went up. Again, this sent a message. There was no penalty for going too far against Trump, only rewards, and it created a feedback loop that would define the next 4 years of late-night television. Each host tried to outdo the others in their contempt for Trump. Each monologue had to be angrier than the last. Each joke had to cut deeper. Their progressive audience demanded escalation, and the hosts were happy to provide it. But see, Jimmy Kimmel took a different approach. When his newborn son needed heart surgery in May 2017, Kimmel delivered a moving monologue about the experience, but he didn't stop there. He pivoted seamlessly into a passionate plea to preserve Obamacare and argued that no parent should have to choose between their child's life and their financial security. People called the monologue, quote, heartfelt and powerful. It also went viral, generated millions of views and a ton of media coverage. And this is when Kimmel and most progressives had discovered something very interesting. People would accept almost any political message if it was wrapped in genuine emotion. So he kept going. 4 months later, Republican senators introduced the Graham-Cassidy healthcare bill. Kimmel saw this as a personal betrayal. When Cassidy's actual bill failed to meet Kimmel's newly minted legislative standards, our tearful late-night host accused a sitting U.S. senator of lying to his face.
Jimmy Kimmel is taking on the architect of the new Republican healthcare bill.
And this guy, Bill Cassidy, just lied right to my face.
Last spring, Kimmel shared the emotional story of his infant son's heart condition.
And launched a week-long jihad against the legislation, complete with policy breakdowns that would make C-SPAN jealous. When the Graham-Cassidy bill eventually died, political reporters, with apparently nothing better to write about, credited Jimmy Kimmel as a key factor in its defeat. A late-night host had successfully killed a piece of federal legislation.
Graham-Cassidy healthcare bill, a bill I've been speaking out against all week. We got news today, it shall not pass.
But I don't think any moment better captured the complete transformation of late night than Samantha Bee's explosion on May 30th, 2018. Discussing Trump's immigration policies during a segment, she showed us a photo that Ivanka Trump had posted of herself with her young child.
Ivanka Trump, who works at the White House, chose to post the second most oblivious tweet we've seen this week.
Bee's response to that photo was just vile. She used the C word on cable television.
You know, Ivanka, that's a beautiful photo of you and your child, but let me just say, one mother to another, do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless
Directed at the president's daughter for the crime of posting a photo with her child while her father implemented policies that Samantha Bee disagreed with. Even liberals who despised Trump were not very comfortable with the attack. But Bee's response to those attacks was even more interesting. She apologized for the language, but not for the sentiment. You know, she was sorry for saying the C word, but not for calling the president's daughter feckless. She was sorry for the word choice, but not for the hatred behind it.
It is a word I have used on the show many times, hoping to reclaim it. This time, I used it as an insult. I crossed the line, I regret it, and I do apologize for that. I hate that this distracted from more important issues. I should have known that a potty-mouthed insult would be inherently more interesting to them than juvenile immigration policy.
Her show was canceled 4 years later. But the whole ordeal made a lot of us realize what had really happened to late-night television. These hosts had become personally invested in destroying Trump and everyone around him. It really wasn't about policy differences or political disagreements anymore. It was about moral warfare, good versus evil, us versus them. They'd convinced themselves they were saving democracy. In reality, they were destroying the last shared cultural space where Americans could laugh together.
Could you imagine if they did this while, like, this kind of late night bashery, if, you know, while Biden was president? That would be just sick. I mean, I would find that kind of offensive. I mean, you don't just make one person, you don't attack their family, and, you know, I just think it's all, you know, it's just a not funny thing, and the ratings show it. So let's also not forget that Jimmy Kimmel did blackface and was the co-host of a show called The Man Show, which was, you know, very risque, if you will. So now, before I get Opa's opinion, let's play this final clip that has to do with this topic called The Reckoning Everyone Saw Coming. So let's go ahead and watch that.
Trust me, I know things are, as the locals say, despacito.
By 2018, late-night television had settled into a comfortable rhythm of nightly Trump hatred. The ratings were good, the social media engagement was through the roof, and the hosts were convinced they were performing a vital public service. They were the resistance, they were truth tellers, they were comedy's answer to fascism. There was just one problem: they were also incredibly boring. When every monologue is about how Trump is terrible, every punchline becomes pretty predictable. When every show has the same political angle, audiences start to notice that they're not really getting comedy anymore. They're getting partisan therapy sessions with occasional laugh lines. The format had become as repetitive as a propaganda broadcast, just with better production values. But the hosts couldn't stop. They were addicted to the drug of righteous anger, and their progressive audiences were addicted to having their political prejudices validated. It was actually a perfect storm of mutual enabling that kept everyone high while slowly poisoning the entire medium of late-night comedy. On a June 2018 episode of his show, Maher was discussing Trump's strong economy when he said something weird.
Because I think one way you get rid of Trump is a crashing economy. Yeah. So please, bring on the recession. Yeah. Sorry if that hurts people, but it's either root for a recession or you lose your democracy.
And there it was, laid bare, a millionaire comedian sitting in his HBO studio, openly hoping that the economy crashes, and he obviously didn't care if this would create hardship on millions of working Americans, all because he didn't like their president. And his audience, other millionaires and coastal elites, applauded. Maher has since tried to reform himself and has had some common sense takes in the past year, but this was important to point out, because you can't even say it's comedy. This wasn't even politics. This was pure, undiluted class warfare dressed up as entertainment. The mask had slipped completely. These hosts finally abandoned the facade of speaking for ordinary Americans and showed us they were speaking down to them. They weren't trying to unite the country like they claimed for decades. They were trying to punish half of it for voting wrong. They'd become exactly what Trump said they were: elitist entertainers who despised the same people who made their careers possible, and slowly the audience began to notice.
I have lost half of my family, maybe more than that. I mean, when 10 years ago, among Republicans, I was the most popular talk show host.
ABC executives had expressed concern about alienating conservative viewers, but Kimmel simply didn't care. He couldn't. It was a pretty remarkable thing to admit. Kimmel was explicitly choosing ideology over entertainment. He'd rather preach to the choir than tell jokes that everyone could enjoy. He'd rather be right than be funny. And of course, the consequences were obviously predictable. By 2022, the most watched late night show in America wasn't Stephen Colbert or Jimmy Kimmel or any of the traditional network hosts. It was Greg Gutfeld on Fox News, a conservative comedian who'd stepped into the massive void these hosts had created by abandoning half their potential audience. The late night establishment had become so uniformly left-wing, so hostile to conservative viewers, that they'd literally driven their own audience to a cable news network for comedy. They created their own competition by forgetting the first rule of entertainment: give the people what they want, not what you think they need. While these hosts had been playing resistance fighter, the corporate executives who actually owned their shows had been watching the numbers, and the numbers were starting to tell a very different story than the Twitter metrics and viral clips suggested. Trump had been out of office in 2023, but he was still living rent-free in these comedians' heads. Almost every monologue was still about him. Every punchline was still at his expense. They'd become so obsessed with their white whale that they couldn't talk about anything else, and even liberal audiences were getting tired of it. In July 2025, CBS made a weird announcement. The Late Show with Stephen Colbert would be canceled in 2026, ending its run after 33 years. CBS pulled the plug. Officially, they cited, quote, a challenging financial landscape and the intent to retire the format. But some people argued that Colbert's unrelenting Trump obsession had finally made him more trouble than he was worth. But it didn't matter. Around the same time, ABC briefly suspended Jimmy Kimmel after that weird monologue about Charlie Kirk. Suddenly, these fearless truth-tellers discovered they weren't as untouchable as they'd believed. All that righteous anger, all those brave stands against Trump, it all evaporated the moment their corporate masters decided they were becoming liability rather than assets. The power that actually mattered in their industry pushed back, they folded immediately. They'd been play acting as revolutionaries while being subsidized by the system they claimed to be fighting. And Trump, the man they'd spent a decade trying to destroy, was back in the White House, stronger than ever. All their jokes, all their outrage, all their resistance theater had accomplished exactly nothing except proving his points about media bias and elite contempt for ordinary people. They tried to break Trump and broke themselves instead. Late night television was built on a simple compact. We'll make fun of everyone in power so that everyone can laugh together. Politicians come and go, but the jokes remain universal. The moment these hosts decided that one politician was too dangerous to joke about fairly, too evil to treat as merely human, they broke that compact. They stopped being comedians and became propagandists. Trump didn't actually break late night TV. These hosts broke it themselves. The joke in the end was on them. And unlike their monologues, that one was actually funny.
So, but what are your thoughts about this breakdown of this whole industry?
I don't know. I don't watch any of that stuff anymore, and I haven't for quite a long time. I mean, I loved Johnny Carson. I loved David Letterman. You know, there you got entertained. There you know, even their monologues were, you know, almost like a roast, which is fine. I mean, you know, a roast is supposed to sort of like make fun of somebody, not to laugh at, but to laugh with.
Right.
And even, you know, Carson had even said that, you know, the Tonight Show should never be used as a political forum. You know, he stayed away from that. He wanted to be an entertainer. He didn't want to be anything to do with politics other than, you know, making a little funny joke about both sides or all sides or what have you.
Well, Norm Macdonald had a famous quote where he said something to the effect of, comedy is supposed to be funny. It's about making people laugh. It's not about political commentary. And I think that that's pretty spot on.
Yep. And like I said, that's probably why all of these talk shows have been going downhill, and I suspect that they'll all disappear and we'll go back to late night movies or something instead of having entertainment late night before you go to bed.
That'd be great. So shout out to a channel called Idea Theory. He only has 15,000 subscribers on YouTube, so go over. I'll leave the link in the description and tell him Skiba News Nation sent you, and tell him what's up for us. So yeah, we got one more clip, and it's volume 27 of Please Excuse My Sense of Humor, so please enjoy.
Is that? Yeah. You get used to it. I don't even see the code. All I see is Jew.
It's a disgusting video, and we're going to continue to make clear bigotry will get you nowhere. We are fighting to protect the health care of the American people in the face of an unprecedented Republican assault.
Hey! Why don't you young about to turn that music down? Neighbors might play sick. Boogie boogie, nigger! Boogie boogie!
Scanning for Mexicans. Ah! We've got a Mexican!
Don't do it to me. I beg you. No. Please
Every
don't
night.
go. It's great having you here.
You steal your fever movements! I invented the step!
You didn't even know what rhythm was until you saw me.
Lies! Propaganda
you
from a
wish you had
glitter
my
club!
groove, man. You can't even
Gentlemen,
step on
gentlemen,
the
hey,
beat.
hey,
He
let's
dances
calm
like a
down.
scare-
Come on, glitter.
This party sucks, man.
Tell me about it.
For a minute, I thought I was going to have to face these jackals all alone. You and me are the only cool people here. Everybody here is just a bunch of posers and hoes and shitheads.
Talk about the fact that President Trump incited an erection.
His various cases of, you know, he's got charges of inciting an erection.
Donald John Trump incited the erection.
They didn't like Donald Trump. They said he participated in an erection.
Look, he's a Hitler lover. I guess he's an anti-Semite. He doesn't like the blacks. He doesn't like the gays. It's just incredible. That
Picking up speed on that custom chair. Going up the left wall. Sending it. Backflip. Sticks the landing. Are you kidding me? 180
Let's
on
see
the
that
other
in instant
side.
replay.
Perfect. Here he comes. Picking up speed on that custom chair. Going up the left wall. He's sending it. Backflip. Sticks the landing. Are you kidding me? 180 on the other side. Perfect.
No one in the world has the power that I have. No one in the world, nowhere in the world, not even in America, has the power that I have. And if you don't think I have that power, in Jesus' name, God strike me. Hallelujah.
Yeah, I didn't have much to prepare tonight, so I just want to say, fuck the Jews, fuck
Cut him
Kennedy.
off. Cut him off. Done. You're done. Done. We cut him off. He's cut off. That's it. He's cut off. Okay, council member.
Just hear those sleigh bells jingling-a-ring-a-ting-a-ting-a-ling-a-too. Ring-a-ling-a-ling-a-ding-a-dong.
This is why the criticism doesn't matter to us when you call us Nazis. Nazi this, Nazi that. You know, I'm beginning to think they don't like us. You know what? I've said this before. We need to learn from the blacks. The way they were able to remove the power from the N-word by using it. So from now on, it's what up, my Nazi? Hey, what up, my Nazi? Hey, what's hanging, my Nazi?
Nazi, please.
Thank God you did a hard eye there. What does it tell you, though?
10 to 15 years experiences like this won't exist anymore. So I think, why not drive amongst the mountains and the cows, wake up in the morning, train, enjoy the fresh air. You know, Dubai's nice, making money's nice. Isn't it nicer just to avoid everybody? No blacks.
Coins in the air.
Wait, what? Somebody
Who
just
are these
grabbed
guys?
it. They're sprinting off with the coin.
Hey, bring that back.
I've never seen anything like this. Two men in black suits just stole the coin.
Charlie. Ow. Charlie bit me. And that really hurt, Charlie. And it still hurts. Charlie.
How do you Muslims do it in school? If you know, if some boy raises his hand and you say Muhammad, but wouldn't that address half the class? It's like everyone is named Muhammad. You got to come up with original names. Like us Christians, we name each other Paul, John, George, Ringo. We don't call each other all Jesus. It wouldn't make any sense. Or Buddhists. Do Buddhists name their children Buddha? No. Jews, do they name their children Satan? No. It doesn't make sense. You got to come up with original.
So I hope you guys enjoyed my, please excuse my sense of humor, and yeah, that's all I got. So I hope you got some memes for me, Jake. Meme me up. Meme me up.
All right, here's a couple interesting, fun memes and a video of a tornado that I thought was super cool. Check this out. Men in the past? Roar. Men today? Meow. Oh, man. I thought this directly correlated with our news segment today when we saw the AI God concert there in Egypt. To me, it was so surreal seeing all of those people holding up their phones, recording this like technological God being. And it was like we are becoming the legs to our cell phones. Remember when concerts were about music, not megapixels? Everybody was capturing their perspective of the moment. And so we create the omniscient attempt at, an all-seeing, robot eye. And if you think about it, so anyways, just a surreal scene, and this meme definitely made me think of that scene in Egypt and how everybody was like, I'm going to become the meat suit for my robot god because it's telling me what to do, where to go, what to film, and how to think. So it's just crazy. Sounds like a conspiracy theory. Let me verify that with a credible article from CNN. Oh, man. Cogdis is strong. Cogdis is strong. I want to show this funny post from the White House because I think it's so funny how nonchalantly President Trump seems to be like shrugging off the Nobel Peace Prize. But at the same time, you can tell he wants it. He's like, despite what he says, right? It's like, why does he keep bringing it up? And then you have from the official White House, blessed are the peacemakers. So it's like, it's such a passive aggressive push to get Trump the Nobel Peace Prize. It's hilarious to me. This one's for you, Jeremiah. Adopt a cat, they said. It would be fun, they said. Bleep, blop. Here, master. Let me bring you what I caught. I'm wondering, Jeremiah, has this ever happened to you? Now, everyone, let's have a moment of silence for all the friends we've lost on social media because of the stuff we post. Okay, so I wanted to show this video because I saw it recently, and it's footage of lightning illuminating an EF5 tornado. Really amazing, crazy footage. So check this out.
Oh my God. Right now.
So I think that's fascinating because with all of the AI natural disaster videos that are flooding the scrolls, people are trying to push AI videos as real. When you see a actual recording of something just phenomenal and noteworthy, to me it's like, oh, it's all the more valuable. But then you have to beg the question, are you being tricked even with this one? And so I do think this is a actual video. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. That's all the memes and little side thoughts this week. I really am looking forward to meeting you all at TrutherCon 2025. So make sure, if you haven't got a ticket yet, this is your opportunity. And we'll bring our minds together and we'll try to figure out some interesting stuff. So anyways, I look forward to seeing you at TrutherCon 2025 and meeting you all there in Dallas.
Thank you, Jake, for another great current news. As always, Opus, thank you for another great Opus Corner, and we hope you enjoyed today's episode as a whole. Stay awake, not woke, subscribe, and stay tuned, and get ready for TrutherCon. If you like what we do here on Skiba News Nation, please like and subscribe, and also share with others so we can grow the biggest truth-seeking community on the internet. huge shout out to all of our Patreons out there. If you like bonus content, you want some extra Skiba News Nation stuff, please go to patreon.com/Skiba News Nation.
Son of the legendary boss, Jeremiah Skiba.
It's like they don't even want to wake up.
He's on a quest for truth.